Okay, so you said I need to have clarity of
The
what I'm
outcome,
doing
yeah, the vision, the mission, right? And my words.
and my words. And I think what you're starting to explore and have not even built into your vernacular quite yet is also clarity around what I want them to feel in order to achieve my outcome. Because what you are creating is, and I'm going to put a lot of on top of you, but here you go, because it's beautiful. You're creating something you want people to feel. It isn't just about the actual words, it's about the vibrations of the words that bring sensations into people's bodies.
Okay.
I say that because you're envisioning the Envision Speakers Series. You're wanting people to feel how it can be or should be, or they desire to have that, right? You're hoping, you're creating hope, spark, inspiration by bringing these voices into this experience. And so when you start to step out of the, I have to say the right word,
Mm.
you're stepping into what we just did, which is what do I want it to feel like? When I have this conversation with that other person, a sponsor, whoever that is that I want to fund this, I want them to connect to the feeling of this event because for you, it is such an important and impassioned project. It isn't just about this happening, and this happening. Those are all going to happen. But the truth is, people are going to walk away with a feeling. And so for you to create the words for those sponsors to feel it is important, right? So the clarity of what you want to say is also to create the feeling and the sensation, the emotional attachment for them that they're like, yes, of course, I want to inspire people. Of course, I want to help bring more of these voices into the world. Right? That is what you actually want to evoke.
Okay.
How does that land for you?
I don't, um, I don't know the words to respond to that. I guess accurate. I mean, that's exactly what needs to happen. I don't know how to do that.
That's okay.
That
We can
sounds
get
kind of
that.
silly. Because I'm more, and so a lot of the conversations I'm having with you, I've also had with Eileen, Eileen Build. And so her and I have had several conversations, and she kind of speaks in the same way that you do. And I haven't connected the two of you together, but you are
Yeah.
going to be at the same event.
Yeah.
And she did, she
Yeah.
did tag.
Yeah. I think we connected on LinkedIn,
Oh,
so
you
we
did?
haven't
Okay, okay,
talked, but yes. Yeah.
okay. Which is good. So she's in that same space, and she's kind of another one of those people that I go to for because I've built a trust relationship with her as well, and so I go to her with um, my evolution. I call it my personal evolution. I don't have any another word for it just yet.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's personal growth, right? It's starting to understand these extra components that are in us and may not be what we've operated in thus far, or is a growth edge for us, right? And growth edges are important because they feel uncomfortable. And yet they're the things that create, as Sarah would say, the quantum leaps, right? As we start to embrace these growth edges and you're doing it, you're like, okay, this feels bad, but I'm going to do it anyways because I can feel that it's going to help me grow, right?
Well, that's not fair. I didn't say it feels bad. It feels different. It is different.
It is different. It
It
is
is
different.
different.
And it's okay that it feels bad. It's okay. It really is okay. Like you're not
Well,
going to hurt my
it doesn't
feelings.
feel bad.
Yeah.
Because, like, when the three, you, me, and Sarah on the call, I am, look at my bald head, I want to control the thoughts. I want to push that thought out and make it real. That's the space I would love to be. Remember, I don't know if you remember the old, TV Batman series. There was a bad guy called Egghead. I think Vincent Price started as Egghead, I think, if I got my my history. Anyway, if I had that power, if I had that power, that would be really cool. I don't have that power. And I don't know if it's the right thing to call it a power, but if I can, align into myself and, practice what you've just given me, which I still don't know how to do yet, but at least align myself with, its feelings and the actual situation and how I wanted to approach that from words and feelings and all that kind of stuff. So even now I'm at a loss, only because it's new.
Yeah.
Only
Yeah. It
because
takes absolutely. And I'm going to say stuff that's, going to ruffle some feathers too. But what if that is a power you have? You're just manifesting thoughts, right? That is all the future is thoughts today that become reality. And so you can't actually have the future without having the thoughts today. So if you have that thought, you're going to bring it into reality and you're doing it.
but I was told that I can't do it on my timeline.
Yes.
I was
Yes.
told
Yeah.
because Mitch told me that you can't do it on your timeline. And I said, well, that kind of sucks because
Yeah. Welcome to my life. Yeah.
because I kind of need things to work on a very specific timeline, at least according to my own thinking.
Yes. So that release of your timeline versus the correct timeline is a lesson very near and dear to me. And it sounds wild, but the more you surrender to it happening as it should, the more it will, as I'm sure Mitch said, right? And allowing the synchronicities to happen as they should, which is an attachment that's really hard to let go of in the world that we live in. And so it requires a lifetime of practice, in my opinion. But the
And
more you practice it, the better it gets, right? The easier it gets.
so because we only have this one conversation, what are the things I need to give me the template? Because I can't always say, jump on a call with me before I do something. That would be
Okay.
inappropriate.
Yeah.
What's the template? Like,
Well,
what's the
first of
one,
all,
two, three that I need to sit down, close my eyes?
yeah. Okay. So I'm going to make up a specific situation for you so that you can hear kind of the logic. Because I have always offered this as something for people to do. And I do it for people that's like before an interview, right? Like, let's sit down, let's have a conversation and basically put you back in your power so that you can go into that in the way that you want to, which is, okay, I'm going to have this meeting with Bob. Bob is somebody I think will really like this series. Let me sit here and envision me sitting in that conversation with him. First, what am I worried about? The intention of bringing the worries up or what I shouldn't do is to release the attachment to them, right? Release them. I worry that I won't have the right words or I won't speak fast enough for him or I won't hit yada, 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 right? Whatever those things are that you're assuming about Bob.
Okay.
So first we bring those into our awareness and then we let them go. And instead we replace it with, how do I want to show up? What do I want the outcome to be? And bringing that into like a feeling in our body, right? Finding it like, when I have that desired outcome, how do I feel? I feel elated. I feel joy. They're connecting to me. We're both happy. We're both laughing, right? Like experience that moment when it has gone perfectly well. What is that? And so that's where the tapping can be really valuable, which is you're sealing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
2 fingers.
Okay.
I mean, you could do 4. It's just really about if when I'm feeling extreme alignment to who I am and I'm feeling really good, like I said all the words I wanted to, and I feel so powerful, I'm tapping that in because in that conversation, maybe it's below the screen, right? But like I can bring myself back into that moment if I'm feeling dysregulated. I can
Okay.
actually bring that sensation back into my body.
Is that what that action does? Because the only person, well, there's two other people I've had a conversation with that actually talk about that. And one is Krista Hernandez and her friend Lauren Farnville. I don't know if you know those two. Um, so that they practice tapping. And so
Yeah, yeah,
Krista calls it the meridian lines in your body. And so I'm like, okay, so you understand the same language.
yeah. It's a
That
somatic practice. I mean, there's lots of different variations of it, but somatically, like you tap it into your body. It's somatic practices are pretty popular now.
okay,
Trendy.
okay. But it does actually do something. Like it's not
Yeah,
something.
no,
And
yeah.
forgive the question.
No, no, not at all. Like,
I don't have to believe it's doing something for it to do something by the act of doing it. It's like if I pick up a piece of paper and a pencil and if I write something down, I don't believe I'm writing something down. I'm actually writing something down. Same bad metaphor, but the same idea that actually doing it is doing it whether I believe it or not.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. So I'd offer to you, like, go live your days, and tomorrow, like, if you're feeling like I'm feeling a lot of worry and things come up, I want to feel that sensation again, like tap yourself in that same spot and you'll feel the shift in your body.
Okay. I'm not sure if the heart is the right place to do it, but it seemed logical at the time. Only I do that only because I know it's still damaged from the heart attack last year, and so I think if I tap on it, hopefully it'll be it's doing good things. I'm
Healing.
hoping. Again,
Yes, you're gonna
not
get
to
that
believe,
love. Yeah.
yeah, not to believe, but that it's actually doing something. So I might actually choose to do that. Well, I this wasn't exactly what I can I ask you what I actually wanted to come here to ask you for?
Yeah, totally. Sure.
So you do know what I'm trying to accomplish. And at this point, I'm actually not just the Envision Speaker Series, although that's a project in and of itself. The other side of that is I do want to get in front of people at a stage or a speaker in some way, form, or another. And so there's a couple of ways of going about that. One is to pay for it. I've done it a couple of times. The other part of that is to become part of a group, again, paying for that. The other part of that is to find people who have an audience, such as yourself and some other people that I know, and ask them if they would share their audience with me in order to share my message with them. So that's kind of what I'm doing. And so that's my question to you. If you have an audience, and could you share at least one episode of that audience with me, so I can kind of get my message out? The other
Yeah.
part of that is, of course, to raise money, but I don't want to abuse the relationship. But at the very least, the more people that I speak to, I believe the more people that understand what I'm all about, they may be more willing to support what I'm trying to accomplish in terms of the bigger picture.
Yeah. And first of all, don't ever feel bad for asking for something or putting out there, like, yeah, if you know anybody that has X, Y, and Z or can share these things, absolutely, right? Like, I mean, I'm the type of person that automatically thinks of all the things that I want to offer to you or all the connections I want to make for you because it's just who I am. I'm the
Same,
mycelium
yeah,
for it. So,
yeah. And so you
um,
get to connect with all the speakers, and if you actually want to get on a TEDx stage, I know the person to connect you with.
Oh, I would, yes, at some point I do want to do that.
Okay.
I know
His
it's not easy, right? That timeline thing, I'm like, I'm holding myself to knowing that at some point it will be.
okay. Well, so there's a gentleman. Where are you geographically? I forget.
Boston.
Okay. Up in Wilmington, Delaware, there's Dr. Dan Young, and so he organizes the 10X stage in that area, and of
Nice.
course he's connected to all the other TEDx. But his
Yeah.
specific program is, I think it's 6 or 8 weeks, and it's designed to help you, one, frame your talk, but
Okay.
also help you monetize the talk, because you can't monetize specifically the TEDx stage, but you can craft your message in such a way that people recognize how you are trying to use it to benefit you. But at the same time, the TEDx stage is all about having an idea worth sharing. And so
Yeah.
anyway, I've
Cool.
referred a bunch. He was referred to me, and so as a gift, I referred people back to him. And so actually, I did it a couple of times, and so he and I have a kind of an understanding, and we both respect each other and what we do. So if that's something that you want to do, I do know that his January cohort is full, and so I'm stepping into the April cohort. So if you're
Yeah.
looking, pushing it, towards the mid or tail end of 2024,
Okay.
it would be good to kind of have that conversation with him now so he
Okay.
can see where you would fit into that schedule.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to learn and explore and see if it feels like the right fit for me. That would be amazing to connect if you just have his information or whatever.
Well, I would do it by email. So
Okay.
he's
Yeah.
not he's on LinkedIn, but not really on LinkedIn. You kind of people who do that. So what I'll do is after this call or before the end of today is
Mhm.
connect the two of you via email, just kind of a meet and greet introduction.
Yeah.
He'll appreciate that. I've just, like I said, just did it a couple times this week, and so he
Great.
knows I'm out there referring people
Yeah.
back to
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, that would be great. And the only questions I have for you on how to support you is, um, so I have a podcast. I loosely call it a podcast at this point because we're still like figuring it all out. And I had already thought about it. I was like, oh, we should have Keith on so that you can talk about it as we restart it in the new year. So um, I would love to do that. And we're working on getting, an audience and all of that. So I want to make sure that you know that it's new-ish. So, but it is a fresh audience for you, which is always good, right? And then certainly if there are other ways that I can specifically share, like via LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my like biggest audience. But we're growing also the Instagram audience as well. And so if I can share, if you have other things that would be supportive, tell me what you need me to share.
Well, do you belong to a church, an organization, those kind of things? Like I would actually go to
Ah,
your
yes. Oh, yes.
area and talk
Okay.
in front of people.
Okay.
Actually, that's part of my intention.
Yeah.
However, on your podcast side, um, I know people, in that space, and there's a lady named Cami Lehman, and she's up in Pennsylvania, who runs a podcast networking group. It's free.
Oh,
Do
cool.
you want me to connect you with her?
Oh,
Um,
amazing.
so
Yeah.
what she does is eh, they meet twice a month. So the second and fourth Wednesday of every month,
Okay.
noon o'clock on Wednesdays. Hosts, guests, and people like agents and other people in that space, they just share that space information. And so you get to meet other hosts, you get to meet potential guests who would want to be on your show.
Ooh.
And there's also um, a lady named Noemi Barris, and
Hmm.
she's the organizer for the January event. She's a podcast agent, and so what she does is people pay her to be on other
Yeah.
people's podcasts, and so I could connect the two of you directly. The two of
Okay.
you have a conversation if you're looking for guests specifically.
Okay. Awesome. That's really interesting. Yeah, we've kind of like I don't know if we've actually connected on LinkedIn, but we've like commented and liked each other's
Probably seen
stuff.
each other. Yeah, yeah. But that's what
Yeah.
she does. So she's out of Cyprus, and so Cyprus is in the Mediterranean. So
Okay.
she's 7 hours ahead of me. Um, ahead of us. And so making that connection may also help you build that audience, at least, start bringing quality guests into your show.
Yeah, definitely. One question I have about, so yes, I have a couple of places that I think I could, one, share your like speaking stuff. And do you have like an overview of your topics or different topics or things that?
So my primary focus now is recovering after suicide. And so those the series of events that need to take place after you've made the attempt and have not succeeded. I can no
Mhm.
longer say failed. It's not politically correct to say I failed at my attempt.
Mhm.
Anyway, what it
Yeah.
is the healing journey past that, coming back into life again. And so, but I could easily create a one sheet around that if you want that specifically, and
Yeah, the only
give
other
that to
thing I
you.
was thinking about was uh, so I also run my Zipcar alumni network, community network. That's actually the call I was jumping off of, which is all the former Zipcar employees like come together. And so they're all at companies and organizations like all over the world, quite frankly. And so I was thinking that that would be a good space to be able to share, because a lot of them are executives at companies that are always looking for speakers and events and things like
Cool.
that. So that would be another space where I could share. If you're looking for this sort of thing, I have somebody to connect you with. Um,
That would be that'd be wonderful.
yeah, and then I will. I am in the progress of more deeply integrating into my local community. Um, so I don't have a space there that I can think of off the top of my head yet, and it's one of my goals too. So I'm certainly happy to bring you along for that ride.
Cool. That would be appreciative. Thank you so much.
You got it. Yay, this is awesome. I love this.
That was pretty much my target. And again, always helpful to I think it's personally helpful just to talk with you.
Yay.
Just to evolve myself.
Yeah.
But like I said, every conversation has been a part of my journey in healing. And so it's been really good.
That's amazing. And I'm happy to do it anytime. Anytime you need a 30 minutes or if you need a quick hit or
Well, I tell you, you know what I
yeah.
did? And so I went up to, what was it, March or May? I forget which month. It began with an M. Anyway, earlier this year, I had a speaking engagement. It was a paid speaking. I paid for it. Columbia University up in New York.
Yeah.
Um, and the lady who was organizing the event, because this is my first, real air quotes speaking event. Um, I said, could you do me a favor? And
Yeah.
she's a really sweet lady.
Yeah.
She's really great. And I said, what I need you to do, and I was the first person who ever asked this, because it's difficult, because there's a small audience, but an audience. If you could stand literally directly in front of the stage, but behind the audience, so I have focal points
Yeah.
and I don't have to worry about everything else because the cameras are already on me.
Mhm.
And she said, yeah. Nobody's ever asked me, but yeah, if it's going to help you be successful on the stage,
Yeah.
I will and it worked. And so I didn't have to focus on anything else. I already knew my talk. I did two of them, two short ones.
Yeah.
Because I had a focal point,
Yeah.
my mind was on that and they were perfect.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So if that ever comes up in conversation, tell somebody that they just need a focal point so that they don't
Mhm.
have to, because typically, when I was in college, well, anyway, you can listen to that story later on. I would perspire. So my knee-jerk reaction to being nervous is to
Yeah.
perspire. And it's not just to, oh, no, it's it's
Yeah.
it's rain. And so it'll just turn on in an instant because it's like, oh my God, it's like not being centered, not being present, and it's all those other worries that just go bam, and I'll just start perspiring, and it just comes down like rain, and it's like not a good thing. So to avoid that, I've learned to have a focal point,
That's so
and
smart.
whatever that is,
Mhm. Mhm.
let that be your point. pointing at the camera. Let that be your focal point. And this way, all the other stressors are pushed behind. And then as long as you've got, you're coming in knowing what you're doing,
Yeah.
to some degree, you probably should. I already had the speeches memorized, but a lot of times I'm talking with people, even if I got something memorized, it doesn't come out, as scripted as it may sound. There's a lot of impromptu along the way. And so, but I do know the message, I do know the impact, and I'm Italian, so I use my hands a lot.
There you go. Well, you already decided how you want them to feel at the end, right? And so you just use whatever words come out and hand gestures to get them.
Yeah. And I could share those two 5-minute clips with you if you want me to. My Columbia speeches.
Amazing. I love that. That's so awesome.
All right. I'll do this after the call. Let me jump. I do appreciate it. So I'm going to connect you. This is my strategy. I'm going to connect you with Noemi Barras directly on LinkedIn. And I'm going to ask her to connect you with Cami to kind of build your podcast awareness. And then you run it from there. Cool.
Yay. Amazing. Perfect. Thank you.
And then I'll share the video content via email.
Okay. Sounds good. Awesome. And then I have my couple to dos for you too. So stay tuned. They're coming.
I do appreciate it.
Thank
you so much.
Thanks, Keith. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.